Oh, I forgot to set this up. Good morning, everybody. Give me 1 second, and then you will see my tired face. Doo-doo-doo. Doo-doo-doo. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. There we go. That's better. Hello. Hello, friends. Silver, congratulations on being first. Woo, woo, woo. Rosa, hello. Linda, Jose, Aaron, Rachel, Mr. Wallace, DDC, hello. Clara, hello. Ice is in the Rome, Georgia area. Looking forward to listening to she's pretty cool. I really enjoyed her interview. So I wish I was surprised they were in anywhere. I just saw a video, or I just saw a report saying that the DOJ is suing five more states for their voter rolls, 4 of which are considered red states. So, you know, there's that. I mean, you know my opinion at this point, Rosa. If it's a hard decision between two people, I'm always gonna lean towards the woman, because I think men haven't earned being in charge anymore. Unless they are literally the best choice. If I'm being straight. I did see that. I did see that, Jose. Yep, so Paramount is now set to buy them. Well, we need to get people to start watching here more often. I need to get big enough that I can just have people, you know, different people come on and be here and all talk and do stuff and get news. Because independent media is going to be the future. At least until we do something about all these monopolies. Morning, Shawnee. And unfortunately, my live numbers have not been growing. If anything, they've been shrinking. Hey, Kia. Cool. Thank you, Rosa. Appreciate you. Yeah, Hillary. Hillary was like, this is dumb. This was the most pointless thing ever. Yep. Yep, 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 yep. And then to find out that Lauren Boebert was the one that broke the rules too. Woo! And if they don't hold her accountable, I mean, we all knew that Lauren Boebert was a dumbass. Can you believe she did that? Of course I can believe she did that. It's Lauren Boebert. this is more than committee rules. Like this is pretty, this is bad. But what are the consequences? We'll have to see. I'll have to see. What happened? So they basically made a rule that this interview was behind closed doors, which meant no pictures, no anything. And Lauren Boebert decided to take a picture and post it. Morning, AJ. Yup. Yes, Clara. Yes. The dumbest cabinet. It's the dumbest majority. It's the dumbest. There's so much dumbest. There's so much dumbest that I can't describe the dumbest. Oh, she sent it to Benny Johnson. Equally as bad, if not worse. She didn't even crop out her name plate. Yep. I mean, it wasn't going to be hard to figure out who it was because of angles. Like they don't even understand like geometry. You could have figured out who took the picture. It would have been very easy. Hey, Garpu. Based on angles, it could only have been it could only have been so many people. Oh, you know, hanging in there. Gonna be working on my song again today, so I'm looking forward to that. Maybe you need to keep a notebook by your bed. Yeah. I feel that. Has she commented on her? I haven't seen a comment, Shawnee. I guarantee she's getting a behind the scenes. I guarantee she's getting a big old talking to. Can guarantee that one. That's possible, Rosa. Yeah, that's possible. That's yeah. Yeah. When reporters asked her why she did it, she made a stupid joke about beach bit. One reporter did ask if she planned on attending the Broadway show, which floored me. You can almost tell that people are starting to get a little tired of the videos. And I know they'll pick up as we get closer to the election and to people's primaries and things like that. But you can definitely tell people are starting to get a little tired of them because they're not exciting. And I understand that. Why didn't she just talk about the Dow? You know, because it's not over 50K anymore. I don't think. Yeah, it's not over 50K anymore. They can't argue that one anymore. Oh, big drop too. Big drop. Big drop. The Dow, the NASDAQ, S&P, they're all almost down 1 whole percentage point. Why is he actually doing an EO for combining elections? What's it at now? 48.7 is the Dow. So there's, what I heard, Rosa, is that there is something going around that is talking about him doing an EO for it. He has not actually written an EO for it. Also, remember, executive orders aren't laws. But why are they doing that? Why are they doing anything that they're doing, Rosa? We know exactly why they're doing it. Because they know they're going to lose, and they will try anything humanly possible to win. That is, if everyone doesn't expect that should be the 150% expectation, is that this administration will do anything possible. Yeah. Thank you, Scott. What Scott said. Right. The EO would claim because China interfered in 2020, Trump must have full control. Right. People are just tired from the last year, and having an election season is just adding to it. Not to mention how many other political pundit-like people are out there, you know? I hear you. It's hard when you're trying to make a living, though. Hope for the best, plan for the worst. Yep. Hey, Lady Prairie. Funny, in 2020, he claimed Italy interfered. He's claimed everybody's interfered. So the real question is why didn't they interfere in 2024 for him to lose? Oh, I know, Silver God. Yep. An EO isn't law. I mean, you're starting to slowly see states, even red states, starting to push back. Why would he blame the actual country that did interfere, Scott? Because the actual country that did interfere is his friend. I appreciate it, Kia. And I appreciate everyone that's watching things. I am noticing that the numbers are going down, and I was somewhat worried about it. I'm going to keep doing it because it needs to be done. But that's the problem when you post daily. Comes or his blackmailer. True. Or both. And who's surprised that that two people that have no negotiating skills whatsoever are failing at negotiating with Iran? Who's surprised about that? Can we get some hands raised for people that are surprised that that two people that have no foreign negotiating skills whatsoever suck at negotiating with Iran? Anyone? 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 Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah. Bueller? Bueller? Hey, Terry. How are you? Hillary called them out for bringing her in, but not. Yeah. Just write a notice saying they don't have to come in, but she did. Yep. Oh yeah, she railed on the majority, and they deserved it. And they deserved it. Every ounce of it. Again, I don't hold anyone. I think it's important that they question anyone that is in those files. Anyone. I think it's important. If you are in those files, you should get questioned. But they are showing they're not trying to find truth. They're just being the same old GOP. Kansas invalidated over 1,000 driver's licenses and birth certificates of trans people who had changed their gender on official documents. I wish I were surprised. Aaron, I wish I were surprised. Hey, Jeremiah. Hey, Angel. Comer can't even sell those bullshit? No. What happened to them being the party of small government? Well, we already know that's a lie. I did see the crap from Senator Mike Lee. Yeah, Mr. Wallace. Yep. Yeah. They obviously were not there when MTG and Lauren Boebert screamed while Biden was talking. I mean, this is why I hope people get out and vote for the kind of people that I'm interviewing, because I'm tired of this bullshit. I'm tired of this bullshit. This back and forth, tit for tat, not realizing their hypocrisy on either side at times. I'm done with it. And I hope more people are done with it. You don't know how we put people in office that we can't convince voters to not have two different versions of reality. We can put people in office that are unwilling to succumb to the bullshit. They know their voters are mindless and will believe. Oh, it's definitely the second part. I mean, it's partially the first part, but it's definitely the second part. $100%. $100%. Watching Obama's last State of the Union and being welcoming to both sides saddened me compared to this. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You look at they were showing Clinton's State of the Unions, Obama's State of the Unions. Like, you look at these other State of the Unions and you're just like, it just made Trump look so much worse. Like, so much worse. And again, I'm not a fan of Clinton, but his State of the Union even was better. Hey, Summer. It was wild. It makes you miss the bushes? Oh my gosh, you know we're in trouble when it makes you miss the bushes, right? You know we're in trouble. All right, this is what I want you guys to do, because we need to have some happy to start our day. I want you to find the happiest emotes you can that YouTube has, and post some emotes for, like, we got 30 seconds of just happy emotes. And none of this, no, just get a second of peace. So you don't want to do happy? Nope, you got to do happy. What? It's the little pictures, Scott. It's the little pictures. On the chat, there'll be a little smiley face. If you click on it, down where you will type in your chat stuff, it'll show up a bunch of pictures, and you can post them like words. Oh. You know, Philip, I wish I had a lot of my emotes that are on Twitch, on TikTok. I wish I had all of them. Scott wins. He got him. He got an emote out. Look at that, Scott. You're Gen Z now, or millennial. One of us. One of us. I want more emotes. I haven't been Gen Z in decades. Oh. Ah. All right, now we can talk about normal things, or you guys can keep posting emojis. You can do it if you want, but we can go back to talking. I just felt like we needed some of this, you know? We needed some of this before we went back to the real world for a second. Especially since it's that time again. It's everyone's favorite time again. I think we needed this before we opened up the real world. Look at all that happiness. Scott wins the internet. Yep. Scott wins the internet. I can't decide what I want to say above my head over on TikTok though. I need help. What should I have above my head? Got your second shingle shot yesterday. I kind of feel crappy today. Oof. Well, at least you hopefully won't have to worry about shingles. Hillary was right. Yes. Love it. Perfect. Sounds good to me. You won. You 100% won. Congrats to the women's. I'll put that up. Yeah. We'll put that one above. I like both of those. Those are perfect. Love it. We'll get both of them up. Oh, you had both? Oof. That's rough. Hello. Hello, Bobia. You got your COVID booster yesterday, so you're autistic now? Yeah. Yeah. Yep. It's true. It's true. I hate when that happens, but it's true. Good morning, meme. The men played good for men. Yeah. Yeah, Rose. I heard one autistic influencer talk about getting his boosters and getting his autism topped off. Nice. Nice. Huh? take Tylenol often. That will help keep the levels up. It's true. It's true. That's true. Good thing about having an overactive, high alert, 24/7 immune system is I don't get sick often. Downside is my system is constantly attacking. Yeah. Yeah. Why do y'all think I take Tylenol every day? Not for pain. Nope. Nope, not for pain. Morning, Ziggy. What was the candidate's name that you interviewed yesterday? Chelsea Hockett. Jeez. Okay. All right, Ziggy. I see you. I see you. If the men put their minds to it, I bet they can be whatever they want to be. Maybe even as good as the women someday. It's true. It's true. Ayo. What's up, Shane? It must work because it keeps resurfacing in certain autism parent circles. Yeah. Yeah. Some red dye number 40 should help. It's true. Maybe the men should try smiling more. Oh, they can show their broken teeth. Ugh. Look, I'm all for loving a sport, but I cannot imagine loving a sport that does that to your mouth that much. That just does not seem enjoyable to me. But in the end, what do I know? What do I know? By the way, I couldn't finish the State of the Union address just too much. I understood. We should ask Mike's Lips. They would know. It's fair. It's fair. Hi, Kayla. Good morning, Laura. Guys, if you're over here on TikTok, right here, and share it, and join the team, all that stuff. It helps. It helps. It helps. It helps. If you like what I'm doing, please help. Nope. Okay. 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 Uh Morning, Laura. To write letters to the U.S. Olympic headquarters to remove the men's hockey team from the U.S. I'm actually going to be posting an interview I did with a young lady who does Nordic combined, and the sport has been there since the beginning, and they've never allowed women to compete in the Olympics in the sport, and now they're considering getting rid of the sport altogether from the Winter Olympics. So that one will be coming out on Monday. Good morning. Why is Melania presiding over the UN Security Council and giving a speech? I don't know. What's up, Ghost? Hey, Missy. Saw Reverend Carla's video yesterday and she was so spot on. Reverend Carla makes some good stuff. What up? Good morning. Because her movie bombed. Hey, you know, she made what, 40 million on it? What does she care if it bombed? She got what she was going for. Morning, Lori. Yup. 100%. 100%. Oh, that's right, because Bill is today, right? No, it kind of bombed. When you consider the fact that certain people bought a lot of the tickets. Right about what? Everything. The person who's in charge of this administration. All right, community people can come up. I seem upset? All right. Ah! Your idea of upset is weird, but that's okay. That's all right.
Nuh-uh.
Nuh-uh. Jeez. How can I be upset when I have these fire lips? That's all I gotta say.
That part. Good morning. Good morning, Scott. Good morning, Chet.
Good morning, Kia. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I got a nice, heavy, warm J'adore on my chest, purring loudly. I'm doing good right now.
Well, that's always good to hear on a Friday.
Normal dad, everything you say is no longer listened to when you use the word fake before anything, especially when it's talking about this administration. I know you can't speak anymore, but
I have to say, I was quite because I was listening to T and he was playing the Lawrence O'Donnell. Is that his name? Lawrence O'Donnell? He was playing his clip and he was talking about the Hillary stuff and was talking about, in her opening statement. And, I was again impressed by, even if you don't like her, you can't take away from the fact that I forgot she was a lawyer, the fact that she was a senator, the fact that she was,
Secretary of State.
Secretary of State, yes, all of those things. So she knows how this shit works. And they thought by bringing her in behind closed doors, they thought it was going to be a huge gotcha moment. But like she said, why am I in here when I told you I didn't know anything about him or couldn't help you with what you're supposedly trying to do? But the current first lady is like seen in pictures and was friends with him. Why is it also that 8 out of, what did she say, out of like 8 so many people, only one of them had to show up? She was talking about how she was one of the only ones made to come in. She was just basically calling them out on all their bullshit, and I'm like, ha, it just backfired in all their faces.
Well, I mean, and it backfired 10 times more when one of their own people was found to have literally broken the rules that were agreed upon for the interview in the first place.
Yeah, it was theater that backfired, which they should have learned when they brought up Jack Smith, that these kabuki dances they try and put on are going to backfire when they have an intelligent witness in the witness stand. It always backfires on them. And it's opened up a pretty interesting thing. If they can call up a former president and first lady, why not call up cabinet officers like Lutnick, who's all over the e-files? And when the Democrats take up the House, now you can't compel this, but they can go ahead and try and subpoena Trump.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's talk of Lutnick being pulled to come up, especially now that a picture of him on the island has not only been like found, but then shown to have been deleted from the DOJ website after it was found.
Yeah, this is an open wound that's not going to heal. It's just not.
Nope.
And they'll be able to delay this for a while, but the Democrats are going to take back the House, and the Democrats are going to have subpoena power, and they're going to be all over this.
Oh yeah, and they know it. They're talking about it nonstop.
Yeah, it's going to be a drip, drip, drip all the way to the 2028 election, and they're going to enjoy every single minute of it. And the problem is the Comer, quite frankly, he's a bit of a dope. He really is. He's just not bright. And he's bringing in people like Jack Smith who make him look like a fucking imbecile.
Yep. I think the person that I posted yesterday, the interview I posted yesterday, is the person that's running against Comer, I think. Pretty sure. Because he's Kentucky, right?
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the interview that I posted yesterday is with the person running against Comer. It's either, there's 2 people from Kentucky that I posted back to back. One of them I know is running against Comer. I don't remember if it's Aaron or Drew. Oh my gosh. Well, somebody was unhappy with you, Scott.
Okay, you want me to, what do I do? Drop down?
Is it a violation?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can, is it a 10-minute violation?
Yep.
Okay. If you can drop down and then at 10:30, we can bring you back up.
Alrighty. What did I get violated for? What did I say?
Someone just complained. It just says themes that some may find uncomfortable.
I'd like to comment on that real quick.
Okay, drop me down.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do it in the middle of your sentence, Scott. My bad, but we'll bring you back up at 10:30.
I don't know if there's necessarily anything that we can do about this, but I've definitely noticed a difference in violations and reporting. I have reported so many people that have just said the most heinous, disgusting things that you could possibly even think of, and they get no violations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand if this is an AI thing, if that any of this is even monitored by people. I mean, it's not even TikTok, Facebook as well. Has anybody else noticed that?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we've got a friend of the community that goes live every night, and I can't even talk in his live. If I say more than one word, it gets filtered. So I've literally had to try and talk in one word
That's
spurts.
happened to Beck several times. She just ends up coming up on the panel to talk because they just felt like she was just trying to say hello and it filtered her, and she literally just said hello. Like HELLO with that hand wave.
Yeah. That's why I keep saying, guys, I love you that you're here, and I keep wanting you to be here. But at the rate this is going, I'm gonna have to just switch over, and like maybe I'll go live over on TikTok, but I might not interact very much because I can't. There's just no point at this. It's practically useless at this point because we can't have real conversations, because literally I wouldn't be surprised if half of everything you guys are saying is getting filtered and I'm not seeing it, so I can't even interact it.
And not only that, just know, like, at least once a week, I go through the list of words, and just to making sure. Yesterday I got, cleared out a couple of just mundane words that were in there innocently, but I go through constantly too, making sure there's not basic words in there that's blocking us from having conversations.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty bad right now. It's pretty bad. This app wants people to do things that are going to make them money. That's what they want. So they want the singers and the dancers and the you know, the people that wear just little enough clothing that they'll get guys to just throw money at them. That's what they want. They don't want this.
And it's not like and also, like, a lot of the black spaces, a lot of the black creator spaces, they've been having the same thing. Like, I heard a gentleman this morning, he was like, I consistently had over 500 people on my live every day. He's like, and now I broke 80. He said it took a long time to get 80 people in my room. He's like, it's just not. And then of course anybody, what it seems like from the experiences. Of course, I don't spend any time in any red spaces at all, but the experiences that I'm hearing is like a lot of the creators who are more progressive or left leaning, members of the BIPOC or any of the other marginalized communities, a lot of people across the board, and not just political though. Like, I'm noticing it in the animal, in the rehab spaces as well.
Yeah. Well, that's called bad coding, I think. So the AI that they're using is bad. So it is that, I think that's a different problem. But it's also a problem, obviously. Oh, I understand, DDC, that there is no guarantee that the tube is going to stay unaffected by this, which is again why I also say, and I need to change the name so it makes life easier. I've got a stack of sub, and again, I know it's not the best. In many ways, it's worse. But if it ends up getting bad there, then or join the Discord. Like, it's really one of those things where, like, I'm not gonna post everywhere, but you guys should follow me everywhere. Because you never like, this is the world we live in right now.
I need y'all a quick mod announcement. I know there's only 85 of us, but I need everybody to be tapping. We're 25 minutes in and we're only at 6K. I know we can do better.
Oh, I understand, Ambrosia, that there's issues with that too. There's going to be issues with all of this. And it's going to be one of those things where we're going to be dealing with this for a while. And oh, lied under oath? Okay, Tony. I don't think you understand how under oath works.
The fact that Hillary was there in the first fucking place it just goes to show you how unserious they are. Why, if her name wasn't even mentioned in the files, why are people not pissed off instead of coming in here saying stupid shit like that? Why are you not pissed off that they're not bringing in the people whose names and pictures are all over it in negative ways? And to be said, like, you know how they released that picture with Diana Ross and they blocked out her kids trying to make it look like they're victims. Those were her children. They didn't have anything to do with that. And it is exactly right that just because somebody has spent time in a room with him, that dude did a lot of stuff. He had money. He was in spaces with people that had a lot of money. Like, don't do that shit. Why are you not the person whose name is in those files more than Jesus's name is in the Bible? Why is he not? Is Lutnut?
Hillary never said she never met him. Ever. She said that she had no real interactions with him. She wasn't friends with him. She had no recollection. Okay? You understand how recollection works, right? You show a picture and you say you did. Okay, well, she doesn't recall meeting him. She never said she had no recollection of her emails. Grow up, John Wick. I remember you from yesterday. Get the hell out of here.
I'd like to focus a little bit on the weaponization of the government at this point. I think it's extremely hypocritical of the right to claim that the Biden administration was weaponizing the government and then completely ignoring what this current administration is doing. It is no leap of great feat to understand what is happening in Minnesota and why. It is a complete and total weaponization of the government. And at this point, even if, and I'm not saying this is true, even if there was some sort of underhanded weaponization of the government against Donald Trump from the Biden administration, they were not holding hostage American citizens' money, their health care, their food, their most basic needs, and their safety to go after political opponents.
True.
And the right should be extremely fearful of what this can open doors to, because they are trying to talk about fraud in Minnesota at this point and denying people health care and Medicaid reimbursements and a whole bunch of other things through Minnesota. When Minnesota is a donor state, they pay more in taxes than they receive back. Their quality of life is very high compared to the rest of the states. And when you're looking at the states that are high in fraud, that the states who are not doing well, who benefit from the federal government because they are receiving more than they're capable of putting out. These are all red states. There is a balance that we have to hold ourselves to, and that we expect the government to hold themselves to. And that is in service of all Americans, whether or not you lean one way or the other. And this administration is not doing that. And the supporters of this administration are 100% do not care about Americans. Do not say that you are proud to be an American while saying that another American who just wants other people to have better lives are un-American for that. If you cannot come to the conclusion that all Americans deserve a better quality of life, regardless of their background or their opinions or who they affiliate themselves with, then you are un-American.
And here's the reality. You think she lied under oath? She knowingly lied? Prove it. And she should pay for that, for knowingly lying under oath. That's the point. You believe she did it, prove it. Don't just sit here and say nothing she said is true because you don't believe her. That's not how it works. You cannot believe her. You cannot like her. That's totally fine.
At least she actually went. She went and she sat there and she did it, even though I think they're just big mad because of the fact that she beat them at their own game. In books, it's like she basically called them on that. The fact that how they're weaponizing it and what they're doing and how it's not right. And I love that. And I think for me, I'm like, see, but her emails, you know what I mean? And dude coming out and talking about her fucking emails, like I'm just like, the fact that people are even coming in here arguing about it, she shouldn't have. Why was she brought in? Why was the active first lady right now, who's in multiple pictures and shown to be multiple times with this person, why is she not being brought in and deposed or whatever they're calling it? You know what I mean? Why is that not happening? Why are all the people who are actively in there and that victims have said have done things to them, why are they not doing it? People who have been labeled as co-conspirators, why they're not saying that? And to what Books is saying, after the VP standing there on fucking national TV in front of the country saying all that horrible shit, it's exactly right. Like, how gross. Didn't they already get stopped from doing that before? Like, you can't. That is not the executive branch's job. They do not. Congress does money. Congress controls the purse strings, not the executive branch. And I wish they'd learn how to. This is where stay in your lane is so damn true. Stay in your lane. Stop trying to do stuff that you've already been told you can't do. And that is actively trying to harm. I think for sometimes they forget that they're the president, they're the leadership for the entire country, not just the people that continue to be complicit and root for him. You're supposed to be the president of everybody in this country.
You know, before I was so rudely interrupted, by the way, did anybody find out what I said wrong?
They never tell you.
They don't tell us.
Okay. At any rate, we've all heard the expression, be careful what you wish for. And the Republicans playing these little games by pulling in a former Secretary of State, former First Lady, who is not even tangentially involved in the e-files, to pull her in, they've just created a permission structure for the Democrats when they take over the House. And there's no doubt that the Democrats are going to take over the House. They've created a permission structure, and there's going to be a line up and down Constitution Avenue waiting to get in because the subpoenas are going to be flying. And they're going to be flying a week after the Democrats take hold of the House. And they're not just going to be asking, they're going to be subpoenaing everybody, everyone. And have they even thought of what happens if the new Democratic House gives immunity to testify to the victims? Have they even thought about that? No, they haven't. I don't think it's even past Jim Comer's head. I won't comment on his relative intelligence. Apparently that gets me in trouble. So, no, they haven't thought about that. They don't seem to be thinking about much of anything, which is why this Congress doesn't get anything done.
Yep.
I mean, this is, if I was a Republican congressman, I would be going to Magic Mike and I would be telling him, are you out of your mind? We're going to lose the House, and this is going to backfire on us spectacularly. Now, by the way, let's talk about Jack Smith for a minute. They've opened up the door for Jack Smith to come in and lay out his whole case, not just behind closed doors, on nationally televised at 8 p.m. Lay out the whole case, just like the January 6th committee. What can they do now to stop it? They opened this door. They have already called Jack Smith. Now they can simply say, we're recalling you because there's stuff you didn't get to say. Have they thought about that? Who the heck is advising them politically? Because this is just nuts. It's not in their own interest, and that's what bothers me. They are consistently doing things that aren't even in their own interests.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let's not forget oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just agreeing. You can go.
Hey, Angel, on the other side, check that right quick. Sorry.
Let's not forget the hundreds of high-level officials or people who have worked in the government for their entire careers who have left this administration, whether it was through force or voluntary, especially the ones who left because of ethical reasons. All of these people are going to be waiting in line, just like Scott said. There are going to be thousands of people waiting to get in line, and these people are going to be spending probably the rest of their lives, depending on their age, defending themselves in court.
Guys, for everyone that's sitting here talking about the past, no one is saying anyone in the past did anything perfect. What we are saying is if you say you stand up for X, Y, and Z, then stand up for X, Y, and Z. If you say you care about...
I mean, here's a perfect example.
If you care about the kids, then show you freaking care about the kids. Don't sit here and have your identity politics wrap you up so much that you are literally defending people involved in some of the worst examples of evil that you can find on this planet, just because you're upset that someone with a D in front of next to their name didn't do it earlier. Do you understand how stupid that makes you look?
There was also an active investigation in the Maxwell case going on. At the very end of his administration, perhaps they could have released it, and that's on Merrick Garland. And yeah, I'll say that they should have at the very end of it, but it wasn't a front burner issue at the time. And but for most of the Biden administration, the Maxwell case was going on.
But he shouldn't have gotten his sweetheart deal way back when. He shouldn't have gotten a lot of things. There was failure upon failure upon failure on all sides in regards to that man and everyone around him. And we know why things happened the way they did. Because because our government, our representatives in general, are owned by the wealthy, by the elite, by that top whatever percent. That's why. We all know that. We want to change that. I don't give a rat's ass what name you call yourself. Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, Green Party. I don't give a rat's ass. I care what you stand for. I care when you say you are against the abhorrent treatment of children, that you are consistent. You can't say it's all about the kids and then do something that is blatantly against the kids.
Especially when you ran on it.
Especially when you ran on it. You can't say you want rich people to stop having all the power in politics and then put a freaking billionaire and a bunch of other billionaires in charge.
And take $500 million from people with $300 billion in contracts from the government to build your ballroom. Talk about blatant corruption.
Not only that, like one of the things that was pretty cool, like listening to Lawrence, this morning, and then I believe afterwards they might have listened to something from Midas Touch, I believe, but they were talking about and going back to what you were talking about with the sweetheart deal, because someone was trying to throw that up, and then the person was like, but wasn't Bush president when he got the sweetheart deal, that first one all those years ago?
Yeah, I
They're like,
believe so.
Nice try, because dude was trying to say it was like Obama, and they were like, no, that's not how that works. But the other thing is they sit here and the other thing is, and it's something I didn't even think about and I didn't realize, and maybe, that's on me, but the fact that there was a whole unit in the federal government that their whole thing was trying to figure out how to say this safely, research the trafficking of minors and stuff like that, and that he got rid of 70% of the people that did that, who their whole job. But the thing is, and that's why that whole pro-life shit is just so bullshit to me, because I'm like, you can't just be about, and of course we know it's pro-control women, but you can't be so concerned about a baby that's not even here when you're okay with them taking away food stamps and healthcare and not even making sure that that somebody has to provide a safe place for them to live. It's like, once the kids get here, where does their importance go? Why are they not important when they're actually living, breathing creatures walking on this planet? Why are they not? They don't give a damn about the kids. And the thing is, it's like, did we really expect? I think what it was, I think he ran, this is just my opinion, you may agree or disagree, but I think he ran on releasing them knowing that if he won, he would be in control of how much and what was released. And he knew that he was going to be up in there. And he thought he was going to be able to mitigate as much of this away from him as possible. And I don't think he realized, again, it blew up in their face.
And by the way, I would even argue they're not pro-birth. They're not even that. They're not. That's why they're OBGYN deserts in every state, or at least every red state. You're not, the chances of you going through a full pregnancy safely and giving birth in some of these areas where it's an hour to the closest OBGYN is not good. Again,
Yeah,
you can go.
that's what, and that's why I was saying, like, when the whole Roe v. Wade thing, I was like, it's not just about AVs. That's not just what it's about. It's exactly what was going to happen. Like, there is just the way the bodies are built are different. You have to have people who specialize in care, that know about and care about women's health care. There are things that are different from women that there are for men, and there's all kinds of different things. And that was my biggest thing. Like, people don't realize that by trying to be so hateful. That's why when they say racism is expensive, that's what they mean. Not that it just costs straight out dollars, but in all of the impacts that it is, it's expensive. Being misogynistic is expensive, because when you cut off your nose to spite your face, you're sitting here talking about you want to increase the birth rate. How are you going to do that when you don't have any doctors around to take care of these women who are pregnant? Because you are literally growing an entire whole other human being, and there's a gazillion different things that can happen or go wrong. And what are you going to do?
And it goes even beyond that, Kia. In 7 months' time, they are going to cut $1 trillion over 10 years from Medicaid. 30% of the entire populations of red states are on Medicaid. Their hospitals, more than 50% of their hospitals depend upon Medicaid money to stay open.
Yep.
So it goes way beyond that. You can take all the things that Kia correctly pointed out about women's health care, and you can add everybody's health care to it, because they're going to be, look at the downstream effects of these Medicaid cuts. You're going to have health care deserts, period, not just OBGYNs. You're going to have healthcare deserts, period, throughout rural America.
Yep.
That is what's coming. That's not maybe what's coming. That's not my opinion about what's coming. That's the Rural Healthcare Hospital Association's opinion. And it's their job to know that over 50% of their hospitals depend upon Medicaid money. And if that money dries up, those hospitals are closed down. We already see it. Rural hospitals are already closing down because they plan ahead. And urgent care centers are dropping like flies. And we've all seen it in our neighborhoods, seeing urgent care centers dropping because they also depend upon Medicaid money. And they're not going to keep a shop open if they know that they're going to be losing their funding in 7 months.
Yep.
And again, the downstream effects of this haven't even begun to be felt. It's bad enough. We've seen it with the ACA. We've seen it starting now, just now, starting with SNAP benefits. 1 in 8 Americans get that. And, food is a pretty big part of healthcare, too. It's insanity.
Mm-hmm.
And what the Republicans passed is going to come back and bite them. And I'm already seeing it in the data that I'm putting together for the midterms. 10% of their core base, working class voters, have soured on Trump. And that is the deepest part of MAGA.
Mm-hmm.
They've already lost the Latinos. They've already lost Gen Z, all the gains they made with them in the 2024 election, all the gains they've made among black males under the age of 50, they've lost all of that. And now it's biting into their core. It's like getting back to the point I was making before. Every decision they make seems like they get together and say, hey, what's the dumbest thing we can do to hurt ourselves electorally? What's the really dumbest thing we can do? Good, let's do that.
Yep. So I did an interview yesterday with someone who's running in deep red Tennessee. And this is the thing that I was realizing that's starting to happen. And, at some point we've got to figure out, and we're doing it here, but we need to figure out as a whole how to work our way through it. I think we need to move out of identity politics as a whole. At least identity politics in the way that we've been doing it, in the sense of people that say, I won't vote for this because they've got I won't vote for a Democrat. I will never vote for a Democrat. Because I think what a lot of people are starting to realize, which is one of the greatest things about so many progressives running in these deep red states, is they're realizing that the stuff that these progressives stand for are what they agree with it. They're what they have been told it means to be a Democrat or a progressive is probably 90%, if not more, wrong. But they've been told it so much and for so long that they're not seeing it any other way right now. And that's one thing I think that some of these people running in these deep red states are starting to realize. And I think you're going to see some districts that no one has on their calendar, on their bingo card to flip, that are going to flip. I think you're going to see a massive change.
Take a look at the early voting in Texas.
Yeah.
Just look at those
4
numbers.
Times.
Look at those numbers. They're astronomical.
Yep.
They're astronomical. They're beyond belief. Now, who does that favor, Talarico or Crockett? I haven't the foggiest idea. But whoever wins that very close race, which I think is a coin flip, whoever wins that race,
yep,
that's got to help them in November. Now, we can have our opinions as to who would be the better general election candidate, but it really doesn't matter at this point. You're seeing something that is changing, and we saw it in 3 elections on the night that Trump was giving his State of the Union address. 3 separate elections that the Democrats once again overperformed by 16, 17, 20 points.
Yep.
Those numbers have never been seen before. Now I sound like Trump, never seen before, but they really haven't been. You know, I've been following this stuff for 50 years. That stuff doesn't happen. Well, it's happening now.
Silver had a question on the other side. Could they be deliberately tanking the midterms in order to try and get senators up for re-election to panic into passing the SAVE Act in attempt to, quote unquote, save their own jobs?
Yeah, but you know, I'm not a conspiracy guy, but let's put it to you this way: the only hope that the SAVE Act has in the Senate is panic among senators. That's the only hope that it would have. And I don't know the type of numbers we are talking about. I don't know if the SAVE Act gets them to the promised land, even if it did pass. These are overwhelming numbers. And sometimes I wonder if they pass something like the SAVE Act, it might have such a negative boomerang effect that it would fire up Democrats even more. And it's pretty hard to fire up the Democrats even more than they're fired up right now. And I'm looking at the demographics. Who's fired up? Is it black voters? Is it Latino voters? Is it some working class whites defecting? Is it Gen Z? No, it's all of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's all of them. I was looking at Texas and asking somebody in our community who's in Texas to take a look at where those votes are coming from, and she said everywhere.
Yep.
They're coming from rural counties. They're coming from urban centers. They're coming from everywhere. And you know, wow.
Yeah. I mean, and I haven't looked at the North Carolina numbers, but even the North Carolina numbers are pretty big from what I'm seeing. And you got people like you. It's so funny in a state like, again, this is where the hypocrisy and that the Republican Party doesn't see on their own from their own side comes into play. There are so many people here whining about Kate Barr, who's running as a Republican. She's a progressive, but she's running as a Republican. And there are people in the Republican Party being like, this should be illegal and all this stuff. And I'm like, we literally had a state senator who ran as a Democrat and flipped to Republican after she was voted in.
I think there were a couple in the House too.
I'm just saying, this is why we need to get rid of some of these things, because this does not like, they don't realize that they started all of this. The reason this exists is because they can't stop gerrymandering, and they did it first.
Question. Did they not have like floor crossings there like they do in Canada? Like in Canada, you can cross the floor and join the other party if you're sitting.
You mean like voting wise?
No, there have been 3 conservative sitting MPs in Canada that have crossed the floor to join the Liberal Party within the last year.
I mean, yeah, you can do that.
Yes, Jeff Van Drew in New Jersey.
Sure. Yeah, people.
Then why are they upset?
Because what people are upset about is the way they're. So there's been a rash of people that it's not like they've been a Republican or whatever or Democrat their entire life, and they just decided that they've changed. It is more that they are running on specific policies, and then right when they get voted into office, they literally changed all the policies that they supported. So it's more that they lied to the people that voted for them. That's the big, at least with the state senator that ran as a Democrat and then became a Republican. Kate Barr is not hiding it at all. Like, she's like, I am a progressive. I am a fake Republican. She says it straight out. Now she's getting threats to her life because she's doing it, but
You know, just there, it would absolutely be a shock if the Democrats take the Senate. The map that the Republicans have a very advantageous map this year. To begin with, they have an effective 4-seat majority because of the vice president's vote, and the Democrats not only have to hold 2 seats in states that Trump won, they have to win 4 other seats in Republican states, and that's going to be very difficult. 2 of them, actually, Maine is not a Republican state, but Michigan was won by President Trump, and of the other 4, they're all plus 10 or more states, leading up to Alaska and Texas, which were R14 and R13 respectively. So it would be one hell of a upset if the Democrats take the Senate. The Republicans went into this cycle thinking they would add to their seats in the Senate, not lose seats.
Yeah, and again, this is the thing that I keep saying. In the end, we don't know what's going to happen. But this is what I do know. We are 8 months from the midterms. 8 months. And every time that man and this administration and the GOP in charge open their mouth, they make it worse for them. Honestly, the best thing they could do is shut the hell up. But they don't have the capability of doing it.
Yeah. I mean, Minnesota was a self-inflicted wound. You know, in addition, look, Minnesota was a human tragedy, and I don't mean to discount that. But since we're talking about politics, Minnesota was a self-inflicted wound.
Sure.
Even Republicans didn't like that. Nobody liked that. That's a self-inflicted wound. Calling Jack Smith, of all people, opening up that can of worms, calling Jack Smith into a committee hearing where he can lay out evidence and, by the way, sets the Democrats up to call him back so he can lay out more evidence against President Trump because he has the evidence. That's crazy. That's nuts. You don't call in the guy who has the receipts of your crimes. You don't call him in.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I thought it was absolutely insane that Canon has blocked the second half of the release of the transcripts and testimony from what happened. And I'm like, do people not... And this is for me where I think where it goes to show critical thinking skills and things like that, thinking outside the box instead of like in reading between the lines is truly a skill, because it's almost like they just believe if somebody says something, they just believe it. They don't look around. What does it really mean? What are they really trying to do?
Yeah.
It's like the people who genuinely think that this SAVE Act is about saving us and about making our election secure. Look behind it. Look deeper. You have to understand, why are they doing it? What is this problem that's not a problem that they're creating? And why are they creating it?
So, and I hear there's a couple of people now that have said that they're just tired. And I want to straight up say, I hear you. And I feel it to my bone. And while I want you to hear what I'm going to say, not saying it has to be just me, there are other people that are doing this too. It's one of the reasons that I'm doing what I'm doing and interviewing progressives that are running for office. Nothing has given me more hope for the future of this country than to see the people that are running, that want to represent it, that are not part of the establishment. Now, I know all of them won't win. I understand that. But I can guarantee you some of them will. And some of those people that will win will add to the number that are already there. And I know we say, oh, there aren't there. They're quiet. They're there, but they're quiet. And those people, just like with MAGA, the more numbers you get, the more loud you can be, because the more authority you end up having, the more sway you end up having. So go watch those videos that I'm posting almost daily of people that are running for office that want everything that we keep saying we need. And they're not sitting here saying it just to get the vote, because they know that what they're doing is not going to be easy. They're not doing this to better themselves. They know that most of these people have left their job, emptied their retirement, and things like that in order to do this. So they're not doing it to get rich. Some of them have literally blown up their entire life because they see how bad it is.
Aaron, I hear you. I understand how tired you are. You want to know what? There's 4 people on this panel, and there's a host in front of you who's also tired and exhausted of this. The last 10 years have been tiring, Aaron. But here's the problem. Our democracy is at risk here. I'm not saying that we're going to lose our democracy tomorrow, but you literally have attorneys working for the President of the United States trying to tell him how he can steal the midterms. Now, whether that's effectual, I doubt it, but the mere fact that they're talking about it shows the threat to our democracy. And there is indeed a threat. The warning signs are there, and they are blinking all over the place. I know you're tired, but if we're talking about this 250-year experiment going another 250 years, we have to put a stop to this. It's as simple as that. And if not us, who? And if not now, when?
They want to drain you so you give up. They are flooding the zone. They're doing exactly what they mean to do. We aren't getting it back. They control the Justice Department, the Congress. They don't control the economy. We control the economy. We're the ones who buy things. We're the ones who vote.
Yeah, talk about depressing. Something else happened yesterday. Netflix pulled out of the deal to buy Warner Brothers, leaving the way open, despite the Justice Department's antitrust division, which is moribund. It doesn't exist. And despite the Federal Communications, the FCC, that has become a joke. That means that Ellison, the right-wing guy who owns Paramount, CBS, is now going to control in just 1 year Discovery, Paramount, Skydance, CBS. He already has Oracle, CNN, HBO, TikTok, and you can add that to the other Murdoch and his gang owning Fox, Sinclair, and with the obvious change in Meta. That means that the right wing will control news, movies, streaming, cable, television, radio, and social media. That is the greatest threat to our democracy in our lifetimes. It's as simple as that. And unfortunately, nobody's talking about it because nobody cares who owns Warner Brothers. And if you don't think control of the media shapes the narrative, you haven't been paying attention. It's been shaping the narrative since the dawn of newspapers and really since the dawn of radio. This is very dangerous stuff, folks. This is unbelievably dangerous. And once done, I don't know what a future Justice Department can do to undo it.
Stephen, it's the end of independent mainstream media. Yeah, probably. Yeah, at least for now. But here's the thing. And here's the truth. No one should ever just trust any media source, no matter how independent you believe or they try to be. We never should have. That's partially our fault. We keep giving them a reason to keep doing things the way they do it because they know that because their goal is not truth. Their goal has never been truth. Well, not never. Their goal in the last 10 years especially has never been truth. It's been what will make them money, what will get them clicks. So in the end, yeah, we need to pay attention. We need to do our own research. There are plenty of people out there that are doing the work that aren't even associated with mainstream media.
What is so unusual about this is that under any other administration, Republican or Democrat, doesn't make a difference. They were all agreed on one thing, that they wouldn't allow anyone to accrue such a media empire. A media empire that literally stretches from news to entertainment to social media. Those are the three legs of a stool that give us all of our information. And they are now controlled by one conglomerate. And that has been fought ever since the Antitrust Division was first formed decades ago. To prevent this from happening, the FCC has always prevented mergers. My God, they wouldn't even let the New York Times, they finally did, but they fought the New York Times buying the Boston Globe. You know, something as piddly as that they would object to. And now they're allowing Ellison to control everything. I cannot emphasize enough how unbelievably dangerous to democracy, and I would be saying the same thing if it was George Soros buying it all. I would be saying the exact same thing. It is antithetical to have a democracy and then to have one group of people and one viewpoint controlling all forms of, or most forms of information.
And Stephen, you're right. It shouldn't be that way. Facts should be facts. Truth, depending on what you're talking about, truth has the capability of being subjective. It would be nice if we lived in a world where what is true could be discussed and not just what's going on right now. But facts are not subjective, and that's where we've failed.
It's crazy, Scott, because Brian Tyler Cohen just actually dropped a story. It says CBS was a test case. Now CNN is next. A wave of corporate media mergers is reshaping who controls what Americans see, hear, and believe.
Nothing more than this. Look, Donald Trump's gone in 3 years, but this conglomerate will still be here. It'll be here 3 years from now. It'll be here 30 years from now. They'll still be here. That is what scares the living hell out of me. That is what keeps me up at night. And don't for a minute think that that owning Paramount Studios, HBO, and Warner Brothers is nothing. Oh, that's just movies. That's just television. That's just entertainment. Where do you think our culture is shaped in America? Mm-hmm. Our culture is shaped by the silver screen. Always has been since Charlie Chaplin. There is nothing that we are facing that is more dangerous than this.
Nope. I agree, Scott. It goes back to Goebbels and his whole entire, how he shaped the German culture in the 30s and 40s. And if anybody isn't aware, I suggest you go look him up. Go see what he did, because they are walking right in through his playbook and copy and pasting this whole entire thing. And what's scary is that unlike back in the 30s and 40s, where that would just be German culture that would be influenced, or a very small amount, what is happening here will have worldwide effects. It's not just going to affect the people in America. It's going to affect everyone around the planet, because those are all media sources that are viewed everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the movies are everywhere. HBO is everywhere. Like, it's not just in just the United States. It's everywhere. So what we're watching is literally a grab at fascism for not just America, but everywhere. Period.
and not just Joseph Goebbels, along with some help from Hermann Goering, who controlled the radio. They controlled all media in fascist Germany, and authoritarians have followed that playbook. Actually, it was invented by the Bolsheviks when they took power in Russia. When the Bolsheviks took power, the very first thing they did was consolidate all forms of information. There was only one source of information that came out, and that was put out by the Communist Party. There were no alternative sources of information. And it stayed that way until the fall of the Soviet Union. And by the way, it's back that way because Putin is following that exact same playbook, as is Viktor Orban in Hungary. So it's not just Germany in 1933. Although that's a very good analogy, Tiffany, because it's very much alike that. And let's not forget, Murdoch already owns a lot of it. And Meta is playing ball, and that's really scary. So that locks up social media.
Cubby, I would argue that people's perception of what the Bible means is just as big of a problem in the country right now as anything they're seeing on TV. I do want to say, Stephen, I hear you that perception is reality, but perception is reality for people that are unwilling to be wrong or have a real conversation about it. Everybody perceives things. That's like, we see something and we perceive it based on our experiences, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But in the end, it only stays if, okay. I hear that's, Cubby, you are allowed to believe all that, but understand that this place is a place that is not a Christian-centric place. Everyone is welcome here, just as long as you know that. So you might get some responses. We need to be willing to have conversations. We need to be willing to be wrong. We need to be willing to question our own perceptions. And that's part of the problem. We don't question our own perceptions of reality enough. And that's how it gets us here too. Like, we're sitting here because someone said something on TV. We're literally willing to say that people we may have known for our entire life are evil because they call themselves, because they are Democrats, because they vote for Democrats.
I also, like, I remember taking a course in sensation and perception, a psych course when I was in university. Having control over all facets of media will change the perception of all of us, because what we are allowed to perceive is going to change. So I hate to say it, like, and yes, Scott, you're right. I went over the Bolsheviks. My apologies to them. But if we are only allowed to see certain things, our perception of the world will start changing. If we are not able to have access to see all of what is in front of us. Like, I don't know how people don't understand that. Like, you're...
It's exactly right, Tiffany. It's exactly right. And don't underestimate, I'm going to repeat myself because I really think it's an important point. Don't underestimate the power of movies and television and streaming services. Don't underestimate that power. Who they turn into a villain in the movie, who they turn into the good guys, that seeps into your subconscious and that affects your culture. Movies set the culture. And when I say the word movies, I'm using it broadly. Of course, I also mean television and streaming services and, you know, things like HBO and Cinemax and, all the things that Paramount now owns. That seeps into you in a profound way. And that is what, especially with young people, this is really unbelievably dangerous territory, and it's more power than a bad actor should have or a good person should want.
Can I expand on that a little bit?
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Hi, Swift.
Hi.
Hi.
Hope I don't make a fool out of myself.
No more than I ever do.
No. Did anyone watch Superman this summer? The movie Superman, James Gunn's newer version.
I haven't watched it yet, but I want to.
So I think that's a really good example of what we're talking about here. Superman was about hope. Superman was about kindness as punk rock. All of these really amazing messages about masculinity, about friendship, about love, whatever, right? The bad guys were bad guys that I think most of us would like to be the bad guys without giving spoilers. It was fairly progressive slash realistic. Trying to think how to say this without ruining the movie. But point is, he has Supergirl coming out. These movies are not only well done, but they gave people, like Scott was saying, a tremendous amount of hope. I saw that all over my social media, which is largely entertainment based, but still, like happiness, hope, these like wonderful things. A lot of talk about kindness, a lot of talk about non-toxic masculinity and sensitivity. It was really impactful. His next movie is Supergirl, which comes out this summer, which is, I think, going to be really great. But his further slate, that he's kind of in charge of what DC does, if they're going to be censored, we're losing that. Not only are we losing these great new retellings of certain comics lines and stories, but we're losing a lot of the good that comes from it. So yeah, it's really impactful, and that was just an example of something that's literally on the line. As powerful as he is, they won't give it to him if they really are going to censor. So that was my 2 cents on it. And arts are incredibly important. Incredibly important. They're active protest, just creating art, supporting art. So please do that. That's all I wanted to say today.
I appreciate that.
Thanks.
And it's true. I mean, throughout history, we've seen that the way they've used movies and TV shows to try and push whatever narrative of the time is going on. You know, superhero movies and things like that.
I mean, there'll always be people creating, right? But we won't always be able to see it. Just like, because social media, everyone needs to create so fast, and it's already hard for artists to keep up. You have to constantly be producing content. Yeah, you have to constantly push content. But if that is censored out, a lot of art will not be seen by people and become ineffective, largely. So yeah, it's important to fight for it. Okay, I'm going to step down now because I talked enough. Bye.
I was going to say Superman's a really great example because it's yeah, thanks for coming up. You should come up more often. But I was going to say it's a really good
to everybody, or because now I'm feeling powerful. I could just annoy everyone. All right, bye.
Bye.
I was going to say that was me trying to empower you to come up more. It was not a threat to anyone. But I was going to say Superman's a really good example of co-creation between Canada and America. That comic was a co-creation of an American artist and a Canadian artist. And it was built on all of these wonderful premises of kindness and fighting for everything that we always assume a hero should fight for. And the minute we lose access to things like that is when we get into really extremely dangerous territory where essentially we won't have democracy anymore. It will slowly, everything will start getting rolled back. Like the minute you start losing access to the arts and media, that's, I hate to say it, and that's controlled by one person, be it a person or the government or something like that, you then get into authoritarianism. It's just, that's.
Now, again, I'm going to say this. It will come back. It always has, and it always will. That does not mean they won't stop it, and it may not stop for a while. But it will come back. Again, you look throughout history in every society out there, when you are about, when a tipping point is about to happen, there is always a massive pullback. There's a video that I downloaded of stuff that was going on here in this country during the civil rights era that I didn't know about. I'm glad someone videotaped it because I would never have known about it. I'm going to be doing something on it soon. It was wild.
It was about what now?
It was these protests and things that white, especially Christian men and women were saying to black people that were just fighting for rights, and just the stuff they were saying was wild. And it was just, this is what, when progress happens, people, the world, the people that are uncomfortable, don't like it, like the way it is, whatever reason, always try and pull it back. Always try and pull it back. How long it takes to go back forward, how long before progress happens, is all on us as a society. And how long and how quickly enough of us realize that what's going on and what needs to happen and actually stand up and do it.
Well, there are examples in history where it hasn't. Russia's been around for 1,000 years and they don't know democracy and never have.
Well, they did a step forward when the Soviet Union crashed.
With Boris Yeltsin's kleptocracy, which lasted 10 years.
Again, I'm not saying that it's ever going to be perfect, and there's always going to be a pullback. And again, I still believe that Russia will at some point do it, and maybe Russia just is going to be longer than other people.
Well, it's been 1,000 years. They better get going.
Well,
but
yep.
I don't mean to say that the United States is Russia. So I do agree with you there, at least here, because we don't have a history of autocracy. So when we start to get to autocracy, we're not going to like it at all, and there will be a pushback. So I do agree with you here, Mike. I think it's incumbent upon the next administration, even a Republican administration, to get their DOJ. It's going to be awfully difficult once these mergers have been approved, but they've got to break them up. They've got to. They've got to force the parent company to spin off their news divisions or their entertainment divisions. We've done it before. The major Hollywood studios back in the 20s and early 30s controlled all the movie theaters in the United States, and they forced them to get rid of all their movie theaters. So we've done it before. So we're going to have to do it again, but it's going to be one hell of a fight.
Yep. I mean, and we got to remember the other things that we're dealing with. I saw a video today and I agree with it. Christian nationalists, the reason that they are so supportive of what this administration is trying to do is they actually have come to like the idea of autocracy. They like a black and white. They like a right and wrong, especially when the right or wrong is what they believe. They like being told what is. They don't want to question. They don't want any of that. So they've grown up in this world, in their Christian world, of this is how life should be. You follow every command that your God and your pastor, who is supposedly the closest to God, tells you. So that's another reason that we're dealing with what we're dealing. There's actually a group of people in this country that are okay with the idea of autocracy, whether they're willing to accept that it is autocracy or not.
Okay. Kind of going back to the whole like TV thing and stuff like that. And you know, as a Black woman, and Summer, I saw all your comments. And I agree with every single one of them. That was like a big issue. I mean, for the longest time, when you were seeing Black people on TV, they were janitors, they were, the criminal, they were always like lower than, less than. and that's how they were portrayed. And I hated watching TV. And that's one thing I sometimes think, especially like even if you're old enough that everybody didn't have TVs, one thing is that YT folks have never known a time in this country when they didn't turn on a TV and see people that look like them. And I think part of that representation, like being shown that and only being shown BIPOC people in those kind of positions, almost like being quote unquote like lesser than, I think definitely a lot of people didn't really pay attention to. And the one thing I would say, I saw a comment and it just it made me shake a little bit, because it was like, fortunately you were protected by what happened during the 60s and stuff. And that's a big problem. Like, I wish for people that look like me, for like my kid's grandma, for my dad, for my grandparents, for my aunts and uncles, they didn't get to just act like that didn't happen. Like, it was what was happening to my family members, to my ancestors, has never been something that people that look like me can just kind of skip over. And I wish that more people would have seen that a long time ago, and they would have listened when we were telling people like how bad it was. Like, did you think that like when they got done with us, that was going to be it? And I think the thing is that like I say all the time, I'm shaking right now. I'm like as it is right now in 2026. I mean, we just literally had the Supreme Court of the United States say it's okay for the United States Postal Service to not do something, to not deliver mail because of race, that they didn't like somebody's race. Like, I want people to realize, like, I wish that people wouldn't have taken till 2026 or till the orange one came on the scenes in politics to really realize how truly fucked up this country has been. We have been saying it for a long time and nobody's listening, and it is frustrating as shit to hear people now saying that they're tired. Like, I empathize, because trust me, I'm tired, but fuck, I can't change. Like, when you walk out of your door, when Mike walks out his door, nobody can ever look at him and tell who he votes for, how he votes, unless he wears some kind of clothing or an article saying, hey, I'm a Democrat, I'm an independent, or whatever. I can never walk out of my door. My kids can never walk out of the door and not be Black men and women and BIPOC community. And I really wish, like, I want people to understand, like, if one of the things to moving forward that we have to talk about is the fact that right now, and if you don't, it shouldn't have taken what's happening with the cubes, what they're doing, to know like this shit has been something. Like, this whole accountability thing, like do people realize, like, when the federal government left the South, like what happened to Black folks after the Civil War? Like, this shit has like been non-ending, and it's like there's so many things we've got to figure out. And I need people to really pay attention. And this whole woke shit, like, we should have been woke a whole long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I do agree that representation on TV is important. That's why, like, I like Bridgerton so much, because it represents all kinds of vast different people in an area. And that's why I realized, like, I used to wonder, why did shows like Friends, and why do shows where it only shows YT people as the rich and powerful, why did those shows never attract me? Because they don't represent everybody in this country.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a prime example of how movie culture shapes thoughts in a culture and in American culture, and it's fairly recent, and it actually piggybacks on what Kia just said. During the mid to late 1970s, a genre of movie making in Hollywood became known as blaxploitation movies. That is Superfly. All Black people were dressed to the nines. They all had their pew-pews out, and all they did in the inner city was just pew-pew each other up and rob banks and do this. And it was great entertainment. The people flocked to the movie theaters, but there was an unexpected consequence. It gave a lot of Black actors jobs. But there was a huge problem with that that didn't become evident until later. Because what it actually taught American society is that if you walk into a city, they're all a bunch of criminals. They're all a bunch of you-know-what dealers, illicit substance dealers, and they're all fighting over turf, and they're all driving around in Cadillacs with pew-pews hanging out the window. And those movies did more to create that image in America of what inner city life was like when it simply wasn't true.
Mhm.
And those movies made hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars, literally. It was a genre, and they were pumping them out as fast as they could. Now, it was only about a 5-year period because people got bored with them and the culture moved on, but it created a mindset that has lasted for 40 years. That is the power of cinema and television to shape people's minds. Not overtly politically, but to do it almost subversively in your subconscious. That is what makes these mergers so goddamn dangerous.
Yep, 100%. It's the media. You have now somebody who is not progressive, not quite as open-minded, owning all of these media sources as well as entertainment sources, and they're going to start rolling back the clock to stereotypical tropes about basically everyone to try and change the culture, change our perspective, change our views, change our morality, change all of it. It's why it's so dangerous. Like as a millennial, looking back at movies that I used to watch and used to love, watching them again with my now adult lens, holy banana skins, the indoctrination for women to not be powerful and to glow up and change themselves just to get a man and do the stuff. And like, it was, I like looking at it and the comments that were made and the things that were shown on TV and the things that these men would do to these women or say to these women. I was like, what? Ew. Like, we could even talk about Lex Wessner and the E-Files and how he was basically the owner of most of what is considered mall culture for all of the millennials that grew up during a time. All over the E-Files. So all of the fashion, all the perfumes, all the everything, all created by people like the guy who was CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch. He's already been charged with crimes, and like,
Yeah, Tiffany, I agree with you, except for one word that you used. It'd be okay if like progressives owned all the media. No, it wouldn't.
no, I don't think that.
No, it would not. Yeah.
No, no,
Okay,
we need balance.
I misunderstood you then.
Yeah. No,
There-
any
there should
extreme
be
on either
no-
side is bad.
No political domination of the mass media, period, should be allowed.
And I think corporations.
Left or right.
I also think it should be in corporate culture too. It shouldn't be allowed in fashion. It shouldn't be allowed in any industry, not even just media, because you know what? You then get corruption all throughout it. Like I had done a post about how I had to now go back and view my whole entire childhood and teenage years again through a completely different lens, realizing that everything I was bombarded with on a lot of it on media and then also mall culture, etc., had all been shaped by people who are in the E-Files. So what, as a woman growing up during that time, what does that mean for me, and what has been indoctrinated into me that has been told to me? No wonder a lot of people in that time period had disordered with the food and stuff and like all sorts of stuff like that. Like I look back, there shouldn't be domination by anybody and any one side. It needs to be there. I know it's very Canadian of me to say we need more socialist control, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm not saying the government's perfect, but at least having some semblance of somebody checking and having some checks and balances is better than none, because as we're proving right now, having none allows
We need
people like
we need
president.
we need regulations back, and we need
Mhm.
levels of accountability actually in government and society. Socialism has the same ability to be equally as corrupt as capitalism does, as if there's no regulation involved to protect from the bad actors that will show themselves, because they always do in every society, in every setup, in everything. So regulations and rules and accountability need to be put in place to help protect, and that is where it went wrong. Once trickle down started, this slow and almost constant removal of regulations and protections began, and now we're at a point where there's almost none.
Yeah, well, we're talking about the media right now, and I am obviously cognizant of the First Amendment issues inherent in attempting to have fact-checking become a rule, to stop the misinformation and disinformation, especially on social media. You know what? That's a battle that we have to have. And I totally agree with you, Mike. That's a battle that we have to have. And in talking about guardrails and regulation in general, that has to exist both in the entire media environment, but perhaps more importantly in the financial environment as well. We are stripping away the guardrails that we have put up after the 2008 recession, and we are stripping those away. And folks, what are we replacing them with? I'll tell you what we're replacing them with. We're replacing them with a ticking time bomb. That's what we're replacing them with. And that is going to blow. That is just going to blow.
Literally, someone, I forget if it was in the administration or someone else who just supported them, that said with a straight face that there are currently too many regulations on banks right now. Specifically, the kind of regulations that came into place after the banks messed up and caused the financial collapse in 2008, which is why they got those regulations in the first place.
Look, another underreported story. Look what's happening with subprime loans. They're back.
They're back.
They're back. They almost destroyed the world economy, and they're back, and they're thriving. Well, what do you think is going to happen with those subprime loans?
But I mean,
they're going to explode too.
Of course they're back, because that's the only way anyone can afford a house anymore. No one can afford a house without getting a subprime loan these days.
Like, I genuinely don't understand. Like, how
money. What do you mean? I don't understand.
Okay, yeah,
it's
I
money.
know that. Yes, money, corruption, and power. That the trifecta. Yes,
all about money.
Like, I remember Canada basically narrowly escaping in 2008. We thank you, Mark Carney.
You got to remember what these banks and the people that think like them are thinking right now. They did subprime mortgages, crashed the economy, and what happened to the banks? Nothing.
They got
bailed out. They got regulations put on them, but they got a bailout. So they were considered too large to fail. So in the end, what's their goal? Make as much money as possible.
The important thing to remember is, yes, they had regulations put on them, regulations that worked. They worked. And now we're taking them away. For what? And Tiffany, you know the reason. I mean, look who contributes. You have Citizens United. Now the money is flowing by the bucketful in politics today.
True. Well, I'm assuming that a lot of other countries have been watching this and been slowly pulling out investments of their financial
They're smart.
tools.
They have.
Well, I'm hoping so. Like
Although I just saw a report that says that the IMF is like sitting here trying to like partially praise what the president has done in the economy, and basically be like, except for like one thing, if you stop doing this one thing, everything would be like great. And it's like, and it's not, like, basically they're just saying your debt is bad, but everything else you're doing is great. Like,
Claire
we
had put-
we control most of the seats on the IMF anyway, and you know why that is. Trump is mad because the IMF said during the Biden administration that the American economy was the envy of the world, and Trump didn't like that. So now he wants them to kiss his ass.
Claire said, breaking news, U.S. asking citizens to leave the I country amid possible Iran stuff.
well, yeah, they're
I
trying to.
saw earlier they had told the people that, what are the people that work from the other countries in the buildings, consulates or whatever, something
Mhm.
like that.
Yep.
They told them to leave earlier, but I guess now they're telling citizens.
Yeah, they're. I guess they convinced the I country to attack first.
Yeah, if they do go in, it'll be a joint attack. I understand the I country is resisting going in first, but at any rate, it does appear that they're going to meet next week. But who knows? It's now 11:42 in the morning, so by 11:48, Trump may change his mind for the fifth time.
That's true.
So who the hell knows? I mean, we could have a very interesting weekend, or they could wait for the talks next week. A normal president would wait until diplomacy is exhausted, but we don't have a normal president.
Yep. Very true. Very, very true.
And it would be nice if the president would just explain what our goal here is. I mean, we've got 2 aircraft carrier groups. We've flown in another 140 planes that are set in our bases. Oh, and by the way, our allies are not allowing us to use their airspace. So what goes around comes around, Mr. President. You backstabbed our allies for 1 year, and what a shock. Now they're telling you to go fuck off. At any rate, we have the firepower there. I would like the president to explain at least what his goals are. What's the goal of all this? What's the end game? What are we after? What are we asking of the Iranians? What's the goal here?
And Ashby, I don't think that's the goal in Iran. That they're not pumping a whole lot into the economy as it is.
No, does Iran supply oil to China?
They supply oil to anyone.
Yeah,
that
but there's
will buy it.
there's a ton of oil on the market right now. They can get oil from anybody.
True, but I don't think there is necessarily a goal. Like, I genuinely don't think that they have a goal other than complete chaos at this point.
See, here's the thing, and maybe for some of them that might be. I truly believe for the man who calls himself president, the only goal is to have his name next to something that people that he grew up hearing was impossible or bad. Anything that someone would write a book about him or give him an award for. That's all that man cares about. That is all that man cares about.
Why doesn't he join a, I don't know, cheeseburger eating contest? He can get a prize for that. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Like, you're not gonna get awards for this. No one in the world is okay with what he's doing. No one. There's no one. Like, other than the I country. Literally everybody else is like, what are you doing? Go sit down, peepaw. Like, Go eat your another McDouble. Like I've tried thinking about all the scenarios and connections for all of the countries that he has chosen to either financially or physically go and harm. And none of them are really related other than they're smaller countries whose allies are not as much of a problem for the US. So in my mind, the only thing I can think of is he's trying to create absolute chaos or he's trying to bait China.
Just there, that's an interesting comment. Is that Russia does twice a year have normal call-ups. Is this one of those normal call-ups, or is this something new? You know, do you have a source on that by any chance?
So I actually heard just there that they actually don't have access to the same, like they're struggling getting, like they don't have reserves. They don't have anybody. That's the problem. They don't have anyone. That's why they're bringing people from North Korea, because they don't have reserves left.
Yeah, it's and Russia does have twice a year normally. They have a call up, but you know the call up isn't 2 million. So I don't know what just there is referring to. That would have to take to get 2 million soldiers. He would have to have a massive conscription, which they have thus far avoided doing.
And just because he passes it doesn't mean he can actually find that many people. That's the problem. There just aren't. I don't think there are as many. Like, look what happened when they tried doing it. When they did it in the beginning, people were running. People were like, I just don't think they're going to be able to find 2 million people. But yeah, I guess we'll find out, won't we?
Well, Putin has a demographic crisis. There's not that many people of fighting age, especially males, left in Russia. He's already lost 1.3 million. Another million have left the country, and you know Russia is in a population decline, especially in that age demographic. You know what he would have to do is start drafting the sons of the oligarchs and people in St. Petersburg and Moscow, which up to now he's avoided doing for obvious reasons.
Yep. And again, we'll find out, I guess. But I don't think it's a distraction. I think there are plenty of people that are paying attention to what's going on over there. I mean, that's the great thing about if there are good things about the internet, is there's always people that are talking about it. Will we have the capability of getting all of this information out to all of these different people, to everyone, to make sure everyone knows about everything? No, there's too much going on in this country, let alone the world, for us to be able to pay attention to everything. I can't even, this is what I do most of the day, and I can't even pay attention to all of what's going on. So I don't think it's a distraction. I think we just got to make sure we keep talking.
Yeah. By the way, if you're like me, I'm really into the Ukraine war, as you know, and I know it's not often a subject of discussion here. A great source for all of us, if you're interested in it, is Chad Scott. You may have seen him on your FYP every now and again. He's a former intelligence official and soldier who's very, very, very good at this stuff. He's sort of for me, he's the Mr. Global of Ukraine. And also on the tube, the London Times has a daily report from Ukraine with everybody from General Hodges, the American general, to our former ambassadors to Ukraine. They get all the heavy hitters in there, and they run 15 to 30-minute pieces on Ukraine every day. So those are two really good sources for you if you want to get information.
Scott, you haven't done it in a while. You want to do the ad?
Oh, okay. Yeah, if I
Yay!
remember. Yeah.
If I remember,
Okay.
you remember.
The little heart's back. Good. Because I got confused yesterday, but Kia was right. It came back. Okay, folks. Wow, have we covered a lot of ground today? But we always do. And you want to know who that's thanks to? That's thanks to your content creator and host, Mike. He really knows how to run a discussion, and he's pretty good at discussing things himself, isn't he? Well, I want you to look up at his name in your upper left-hand corner, and you're going to see a little heart there. You already know what I want you to do. Tap on that heart, and down will come a box. And on the right-hand side of that box, you're going to see 6 small rectangular boxes. Some will be blank. You don't have to pay attention to those. Some will, however, be shaded in black. Those are the ones I want you to tap. Why? Because this guy who puts in all this hard work to create this safe, wonderful space for us, he gets points. But I know what you're thinking. We're all human. We'd sort of like something for ourselves. Well, guess what? You get the same amount of points that he does. Now, where the hell are you going to find a deal like that? The other thing I want to talk about, and we really touched on it today, we had a long discussion on it, about the new media environment, and TikTok is unfortunately part of what Mr. Ellison has purchased, and all the right-wingers now own TikTok. So what does that mean to you, me, and everybody in this community? What it means is that we've got to get used to using the tube of you, folks. You have to. It's becoming a necessity. We don't know what the future is here on Talk. Mike has talked a little bit about how a lot of his videos and a lot of what he does is being suppressed a bit. Well, he's not alone. Everybody in the center, everybody who's left of center is finding the same problem. We don't know when they're going to crack down. It could be tomorrow. It may never happen. We don't know. But if you enjoy this content, if you enjoy this community, it is incumbent upon you to get used to going over to the tube. And there's a few bonuses for that. Number one, you can talk like a real human being over there. You don't have to censor yourself. Number two, the content is great there. Mike has put up a ton of content over there. And if you haven't checked it out, you really should. I think you'll find it interesting. I know I do. I know everybody on the panel does. It's good stuff. And thirdly, the main reason is it may end up being our safety valve, folks. We can't predict the future. And as your mom always told you when you were a kid, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst.
Yep.
I missed that.
I am probably going to be on there as well, McCrae. But the fact is Amazon owns that app, and they're getting a little weird sometimes too. So, I'm gonna put myself up in places where I think if it does involve extra work, I'm willing to put myself in places, but if it involves more work, I have no ability to put in more work on things. I'm probably already doing more than I should, but the fact is if I want to grow, I need to do this stuff. So I'm doing it. Yes. Guys, please watch the content, especially the stuff on the candidates. I mean, yes, I want you to watch all of it, but these candidates need support. These candidates need visibility. They need name recognition. If you know people that live in the states that they live in, share it. If you know, like, this is how we get the changes that we keep saying that we want. If we truly want to get rid of money from politics, if we truly want accountability, if we truly want all these things, there are people that don't come from money. They just want to get the changes that we keep saying we want, and that's going to require us to hold them accountable and to get them into office in the first place, or everything they say, everything we say just doesn't matter anymore. Like, if we keep saying we want change and then we keep voting for the exact same thing that we keep saying we want, we don't get them through the primaries, we don't get them through the general election, none of it matters. Everything we are doing here is pointless if we don't get people in office that actually want to do this stuff. That is why I am doing 12 to 17 interviews a week. Not because it's good for my health, but because it's insanely necessary. And hello, Diva. Find that they're trying to get lefties on their oh yeah? Well, that'll be interesting. Like I said, I've already got a thing there. I'll probably end up changing the name and go live in multiple places with that too. So we'll see how that goes. But guys, thank you so much for everything. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the gifts on all sides. The subs, it means more to me than you guys know. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. I'll be back on Monday and we'll talk about whatever the heck happened over the weekend. Yeah. Remember to watch all the podcasts. You guys are amazing just the way you are, and I love you all very much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Remember to sing, laugh, dance, smile. Do something that makes you happy. Bye, guys. Goodbye.